Hello everyone, this is StrawberryShorty here with what will be the true end of the letter, and probably do one more ending after that, which will probably be super short. I plan to do like a recap thing of all the choices that led me to this point once we get to the main part, because we're not really in new territory yet. This is just Hannah is dead, but Zach didn't get framed for the crime, so there's some new dialogue here. So, this is right after we ran into the maid out in the garden. Hannah's still dead in the next room. And we've left Johannes to come into our bedroom. I don't care enough to show any sign that I've heard him, retreating into the master bedroom without another word. The bouquet of daffodils is quickly placed before the nursery door. It's almost hilarious how I'm now worried about a woman more than I am the fact that there's a corpse in the next room. But even as worry for her still keeps me on edge, I feel exhaustion come over me. Not bothering to strip off my clothes, I fall onto the bed tired and alone. The sickly sweet scent wafting in from the nursery has kept me awake through most of the night. It's intoxicating and nauseating in equal parts. The body is yet to be disposed of. Mostly my fault. I have too much to take into account before I rush to a decision. But perhaps this whole ordeal is being made complex by my sleep-addled brain. Should we look and see if anything new got added for that? What day is it? Grocery store. I don't know where we are. Having no obligations today, Luke made plans on how to take care of the situation with Hannah without risking the authorities or anyone's finding out. In the end, he passed off the work to his butler, trusting him to get it done as clean and efficiently as possible. So we're just assume that's it. I can't be bothered to rise from bed even when the sun, what little there seems to be today, peeks through the curtains. I don't want to handle any of it. Not Hannah's body, not the security, not Kylie visiting. Right now, all I want to do is actually get some sleep. Still, the thought of that woman from yesterday, and the danger that she presented, was enough to keep me from even trying. So suffice it to say, I'm not very happy that anyone would dare separate me from my true love, the bed. The rain that has started sometime during the night didn't help the mood. Okay, maybe it helps just a little. Strange sunny weather has been nice and all, but for it to return as it should be, feels like a good sign of things to come. Perhaps things will settle back to normal, and the crazy drama that has gone on lately will die down. The rhythmic pitter-patter of the rain fills the early morning silence with a steady beat. Thank goodness I don't have to be anywhere in a hurry today. I would hate to be caught unawares in this rain. With how it looks outside, it seems that the weather is making up for all the sunny days it has given us with a good old-fashioned downpour. It does let up within the quarter of an hour. However, a day beginning with a cloudburst like this, local is usually taken as an immediate sign. Luxbourne's abysmal weather is back, likely for good. There's this rubbish about how the heavens cry with you through the rain. If anyone sentimental enough knows of what I've done, they'd probably spout this stupid thought my way. Well, I think it's a load of bull. Hannah would roll in her grave at the thought of that the heavens made it rain for her. She was never one for the dreary weather, always enjoying the scarce sunshine on rare sunny days. She'd been loving the abnormally sunny week thus far. If only things had not come to this. But it is already far too late to regret everything, and thankfully somebody interrupts before I can start brooding on the what-ifs. Perhaps the only time I can appreciate the man's insufferable prying.
Are you really going to stay in bed all day?
What do you want?
You must have been really rattled by what happened yesterday. If you need to talk about it, I'm quite qualified in that regard.
And you aren't even the slightest bit bothered. Truly, not even the slightest bit worried?
I was worried. But I realized that it's not my life in danger, is it? My worrying will not help matters. Neither will yours.
The detached manner in which he admits this annoys me to no end.
Oh, as a matter of fact, it is your life in danger. Because if I find you lacking, if that woman finds their way anywhere near me again, you'll be following in the footsteps of your predecessor. Are we clear? Do what you have to. In fact, it'd be best if you keep busy. Do what needs to be done, and if I see you even idling for 1 second, I won't be happy.
Not sure you're ever happy, Luke. He doesn't say anything. There is no witty retort. It isn't a threat, but a promise, after all. I don't take kindly to incompetence, especially when it comes to affairs that affect my very safety. I will kill if it ensures that I live.
Are there any updates about the woman?
Being in the dark has me on edge. Information, any at all, may very well help me in calming down.
I've already briefed security about her, and more from the agency will be arriving tonight. But they haven't seen anyone fitting the description.
So you have nothing then? Fat lot of use you guys are. What do I even pay you for? Do me a favor. There's the door. Don't let it hit you on your way out.
Well, there is something. It's about McCulloch.
I will deny it. I do find myself a tiny bit interested.
I called her secretary about taking the day off. He hasn't heard from her over the weekend.
Ever consider she might be putting her paycheck to good use? Probably somewhere out there getting drunk, having a shag. Ugh, and I envy her for it. As long as she's here for work, what and who she does in her free time is her business.
Hell, maybe she's found another client to sleep with. I'll commend her if that's the case. It's a good way as any to make connections and get to business. I'd be a hypocrite and a liar if I said I didn't get some of my business that way. Scratches the itch, too.
That's all well and good, but she's not answering her mobile either. Mr. Parker will be filling a missing persons case with the police if she doesn't turn up today.
Okay, interesting as all this is, why bring this to my attention? If we've lost an interior designer, just find someone else to take her place.
If I knew that letting Hana hire her would bring so much trouble, I would have stopped it at just the sex.
The last anyone has seen of her was here, the morning of the party. Your housewarming party.
That isn't good news.
It wouldn't do for the police to hear of this, and to suspect.
They are not welcome in this home. The niggling voice in the back of my head starts loudly, though his presence is both unwanted and unnecessary.
If they come to investigate her disappearance, you need to make a decision. What will we be doing with the madam?
Because if they come to investigate her disappearance, well, we don't want them snooping about the house. Not until dearest Hana is taken care of, because I'm the fool who can't let her go. It's ridiculous that I'm so sentimental about something that amounts to nothing more than rotting meat. As it is, the body is still decomposing on the inside, internal organs being the first to go. If anybody found her, they might still think that she's only sleeping. First sign of flies and maggots aside, anyway. It's been less than 48 hours, but give it a day or two, and the thing will only get worse. My bedroom already smells like rotting fruit. The scent is faint and lingering. It's persistent, even with all that Johannes has done to decontaminate the place without touching the body itself.
Leave it for tonight. I'll think of something by then. Until then, I want you on top of everything. Now, if we're done here, I'd like to go back to sleep and...
Where are you?
Well, there goes any plans of grabbing some shut-eye. Rolling over on my stomach, I can only scream into my pillow.
Of course. Ah.
Did you start your show again? You said you should always use your indoor voice when you have visitors.
Screw what Hana said. She's dead now.
Johans, distract her.
Oh, look, it's time for me to go. Have fun with your little play date. So long, farewell, and auf Wiedersehen. Goodbye.
I have a doctor's appointment to go to with Hana.
No, Johans, don't you turn away from me. Keep her busy for an hour. Come on.
I have to press my face against the pillow once more to suppress a groan. You just can't get loyal help anymore.
Hello there, little Fraulein. Your uncle is just upstairs and will be down in a moment. He is super excited to have you today. I hope you're well rested and ready to play a lot.
Bastard. I'll be down in a sec, Munchkin. Let me just...
Change into a fresh shirt, brush my teeth, fix my hair, bemoan my very existence, wish I was anywhere else in the world right now. Don't get me wrong, Kylie is a great kid, wonderful, better than most brats her age. But handling a tyke is the last thing I want on my agenda right now, what with this whole Hana business. Fortunately, I am well versed in how the world works. I've long learned that the show must go on, no matter what hurdles come in my way. So I set on preparing for the day. Running a comb through my hair is just divine and simply makes me feel more human. That hair is disgusting, though it isn't bad now as it was when I was a child. How expensive a trip to the barber's was. I have to grow it out until Mother had the time to cut it for me. The curls and tangles were simply horrid. Why, I was even mistaken for a little girl because of that. It certainly doesn't help that I was named Lucille. A freshly pressed shirt is enough to chase away the last signs of sleepiness. The feel of crisp and clean cloth in my hands is a clear marker to the start of the day. Smoothing down my suit and my hair with a sigh, I steel myself for the horrors. The horrors that come with taking care of a child.
Good morning, Tia Luke.
Speak of the devil and she shall appear. Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, Kylie grins up at me as soon as I open the bedroom door. She swings the backpack she's clutching, hitting my leg in a show of impatience and looking entirely unapologetic for it.
Did you just wake up? Don't tell me you forgot. It's our play date today.
I nearly did, really. It's hard to remember something as trivial as an ordinary playdate when there's murder fresh on one's mind. But there's this instinct long ingrained to act as if everything is normal despite the blood on my hands. Else I would have spiraled out of control a long time ago, and things wouldn't be as good as they are now. Besides, she's a bright child, tolerable, kid's got a good head on her shoulders, and can get pretty mature for her age at times. Of course, they have me to thank for that. Her parents can take partial credit, but Hana and I have been there for this kid since she was just a small babe. Why, I can still remember the first time I saw her. It was during her baptism. The only reason I was there was to accompany Hana, who was to be named the godmother. She was such a tiny thing, not even a year old, and swaddled in her mother's arm in white cloth. It was the first time I really saw an infant up close enough to hold one at least. It had been terrifying to be given a little child to carry after the whole water ceremony. Never done so before that, to hold a tiny life in my arms. I could have just dropped her on her head and this little tyke before me would have stopped existing then and there. But the child just smiled at me, babbling nonsensical words as children do, and clinging to me even as I tried to hand her off to Hana. She had thought it hilarious and adorable. My suit had been a mess, and I was nearly an anxious wreck by the time I handed her back to her mother. Yet it was pleasant, too.
Of course I didn't, you little rugrat. I just had to take care of something before you arrived.
Really? Well, I guess that's fine. As long as he told me for work like last time.
Really? Now why don't we go back down and have breakfast in the parlor?
I already ate at home. Papa made one of his tortillas de patatas. He wouldn't let me leave until I finished every bite.
The Suarez's famous tortilla de patatas. Those things are a hazard. You can probably use one to bludgeon someone into submission with how huge they are. It's a miracle Kylie can be so energetic. I had trouble staying awake the first time I had one. Speaking of staying awake...
Well, I need some coffee in me at the very least. But if you'd like, you can jump straight to dessert.
Yes! Dessert, please!
It's easy enough to manage Kylie with the promise of sweets, thankfully. The hard part is managing her before she gets the sweets, because I nearly have a heart attack when the kid races down the stairs. Just the thought of her slipping and breaking her neck is enough to make me rush down after her.
Slow down, the food isn't going anywhere.
The food is going somewhere. In my tummy.
Jesus fucking Christ. Children.
With a shake of my head, I ushered Kylie towards the parlor and ordered a maid to bring food for us. Whatever breakfast there is, along with a cup of coffee for me and an ice cream for Kylie. But I can't leave the kid alone for too long, unless I want to let her turn another room into a slaughter ground. True to my expectations, I'm only with Kylie alone for a few minutes, but she's already made herself comfortable. The stuff from her backpack has been left scattered across the room, from coloring books and crayons to toys. This is about where it gets to the new part. She's well equipped to amuse herself with no trouble, though I can certainly breathe a little easier knowing she won't bring her doll every time she visits. Narcissa, or Sisa, is a creepy little bugger. It doesn't help when Kylie left her during one. Finding the thing at the bottom of the stairs staring up at me at 3 o'clock in the fucking morning is a memory that won't be leaving me anytime soon. Even now it stares at me from where it's seated. I'm wholly tempted to just throw the thing into the fireplace and banish it from whence it came. I can buy her a prettier doll, a better toy. I'll break it and find a way to get rid of it. It wasn't from Hana, and only Kylie wasn't so attached to it. The thing is some kind of antique doll she found for the brat's 6th birthday. One of a kind. My darling Hana loved her so. And Kylie does try to be a good goddaughter, but she just can't keep her interest along with the wife. It's not something that Hana does wrong on her part. She just tries so very, very hard. It's just that she doesn't quite know how to really handle children. She'd never been around other children when she was young, surrounded by protective adults who catered to her every whim and worried for her safety every minute. When she isn't able to keep up with Kylie, her first instinct is to be strict. Impose rules on the child, treat her as if she is made of spun glass, like every movement might break her. I, at least, have some idea from being around street kids. I know the games they've played and how they think. I know that scrapes and scrins knees are all part of childhood. Even with how I grew up, I had time to be a child and not some sheltered heiress. With Kylie, as behaved as she can be, with her toys and her books and arts, she has to use up all her energy somehow. To run around the playground and make a mess in the mud, or even just fake wrestle for a short while. Let her be a child when she wants, I'll say. If it becomes too much, just bribe her with sweets or ship her back to her papa. Problem solved. Unfortunately, Hana wasn't quite up for the sort of things most of the time, thinking it would spoil the child. It turned a whole playdate awkward every time. Taking the last seat left, I plucked one of her coloring books from the table to see it filled with dinosaurs. Not exactly what I expect to see for a little girl, but doesn't hurt anyone. She wants to play with dolls and cars, or dolls with their cars, what do I care? She wants to put dolls' tutus on model cars even.
Oh, this is a new one. The last one you had was filled with horses, wasn't it?
Those were ponies, Tio. They're much cuter than horses. But we went to a dinosaur zoo, and it was awesome! Dinosaurs are my favorite.
I have no idea what that is, but it must be something. I'm only familiar with the T-Rex myself.
Yeah, they found, fossils of its claws. They're really long. They think the whole theory might be a bazillion meters tall, even bigger than a T-Rex. Sisa says it'll be big enough to eat all my classmates.
She only laughs as I scrunch up my nose and grimace.
Takako says you're making a really funny face.
Taka who?
Takako, a friend I made.
I have to stop and look around, expecting one of the help to be there. The child does have a way of befriending just about anyone, as long as she puts her mind to it. But the two of us are completely alone. Thankfully, she only finds my disturbed look as another funny grown-up expression. That might be a lot more problematic than whether she plays with dolls or cars, though. But the thoughts of Sisa giving Kylie ideas, and one of said ideas being massacre by dinosaur. Something I probably need to bring up with her father, aside from work. But beyond murderous dinosaurs, creepy dolls, and imaginary friends, I find no trouble with Kylie. She's as energetic and precocious as any tyke her age can be. She's an angel. She can get comfy and settled in after getting her sweets. We tuck into our waffles as soon as our food is brought in. Our waffles, because she wanted her own plate to go with the ice cream as soon as she saw mine. Fresh plate of berries is brought in as well, which really goes great with the rest of this feast, as Kylie puts it. And if I indulge in the sweetness, I have a cup of black coffee to pair it off with. With our bellies full, Kylie grows content with just scribbling on a scrap of paper and calmly chatting about her week. She talks of her older brother Rowan and their parents, how they plan to go to Blacksland in Berkshire for the winter holidays. She talks to Miss Pink, and I have to shift my legs to become comfortable once more, the memory of my initial meeting with her still fresh in my mind. The little brat is quick to defend her favorite academic as well. The woman has yet to offer a proper apology, and she wishes to give one on her behalf, all diplomatic like I taught her. She talks of the sad man in the park and of her new friend who likes to play hide-and-seek when she's not sniffing in the loo. I think they mean sniffling. When, finally, she finds nothing new to talk about, she goes back to her drawings. That'll change as soon as her stomach settles, of course. The calm before the storm. Because, behaved as she is right now, I can feel the curiosity just radiating off of her. There's a restlessness buzzing under her skin and a question at the tip of her tongue, as they often are with children her age. I think this is it. I skipped last time and didn't really realize it was new dialogue. But for now, I can take this piece with no complaint for however long it stays. I have fun with the crayons as well, at the child's insistence, even if I can't really draw. With Kylie using the black crayon, that leaves me with the yellow one. I absentmindedly start to doodle flowers, which are just about the only thing I can actually do decently. I'm halfway filled the page with yellow when Kylie breaks her silence.
Hello, where is Tia? She's still sleeping in bed again? Is she gonna join us later?
So I'm presuming this is because Zach didn't get framed, so no one knows about Hannah's death. I'd be lying if I say I'm not worried about going on with this line of questioning. I honestly am not expecting her to ask about her godmother. For all that Hannah was her actual godparent, she isn't as fond of her as she is of me. For a moment, paranoia fills my mind. It's suspicious of her to ask about a dead woman for no reason. I do realize this is ridiculous, to think a child is a threat to me. Her father might be putting her up to it, to find dirt on me, my mind supplies. I'm not too disillusioned to think that people working under me are actually loyal to any extent. I can't stop myself from being defensive.
What do you care? You've never asked for her before.
Mama's been asking about her. She hasn't visited for a while.
There's a shrug, and some sense to her words. If that doesn't relieve some of the tension from me, nothing else will.
I don't know where she is, Munchkin. She's probably off somewhere doing grown-up things.
That makes sense. Tia does a lot of boring grown-up stuff. There's always a boring grown-up parties. You must be happy you're not doing a boring grown-up thing right now thanks to me.
Hey, I'm doing a grown-up thing. I'm taking care of you, aren't I, you little rugrat?
I'm still on edge, but it's easy enough to put a carefree mask once I get a grip of myself. The roll of her eyes and the way she looks at my doodles in a false, serious manner helps too.
Oh, your drawing doesn't look grown-up to me.
Nevertheless, like any child her age, the line of questioning doesn't exactly stop.
Is Tia still asleep? I want to give her this pretty drawing I made for her.
And I know that they can't help it. That they don't know where to cross the line out of genuine curiosity. Genuine and innocent curiosity. Yet that doesn't stop me from snapping.
Tia isn't here, all right?
So where is Tia?
She's not anywhere that I know of. Probably at another party, shaking hands and all that.
You just say she's out shopping.
But she's coming home soon at least, right, Tio?
Enough, you little brat! Can we just...
I don't know where Hannah is. That's the official excuse for when her disappearance is looked into. It's easier to claim ignorance, to have a lack of liability if foul play is ever suspected. There would be no mens rea or actus reus if I spin the whole affair and make myself the clueless bystander. It'll be easier to manipulate the story if I remove myself from it, whichever way we choose to deal with this mess. But I've been blindsided by the interrogation of a child. Whispers in my ear conspire.
Silence her. End her.
I have to shake my head to clear away the thoughts. She didn't deserve my anger for such innocent questions. Because this is just a kid. This is Kylie, for fuck's sake. I don't need to silence her. I had to.
Let's just have fun, all right? I'm so sorry, Kylie. Please don't cry. I didn't mean to.
I raise both my hands in a non-threatening manner, trying to placate her, only for her to take a step away, wide-eyed and terrified. This look on her face just crushes something in me. She doesn't let me say anything more than that before she runs away crying about wanting to call her father, about wanting to go home. Her crayons and toys lay strewn about, forgotten. Even Narcissa is left behind. She never leaves her doll behind if she can help it, and now it's looking at me, accusing. I've never shouted at her before. I had no right to. And even if I want to deny it, some part of me was about to raise my hand to her, when I had promised a long time ago that I would never harm a child. I just can't help this awful energy that's taken over me. I feel so angry and tense and...
Sisa, what is wrong with me? Am I going mad?
Will the doll answer? There's about 20 billion journal entries. What day is it? There we are. Yeah, same thing as ever. Child asking questions. I don't think I can spend any more time with Kylie, considering how high-strung I feel, so it is a good thing that Suarez came for her as soon as I called. But as earlier than we agreed upon, he voices no complaint. The bastard even has a look of relief on as soon as they left, or at least I interpreted as such from where I stood by one of the windows, not bothering to step out and greet the man. No doubt he still doesn't trust me around his spawn. Well, he has every right to be suspicious of me. I am a dangerous man after all. But to my chagrin, that leaves me with the rest of the day with nothing to do. And I'm gonna pause. I don't know when something new will pop up. I hope I've successfully activated the true ending, so... Okay, so we are back. I think this is just another scene triggered by Zack not being framed for Hana's death. So, probably won't be new dialogue for long. This is right after we see the hallucinations in the ballroom as Luke and run into Johannes, and he brings us here. So, breathing a momentary sigh of relief, I sit down on the bed while the other man looks out in the balcony and closes the door behind
The
him.
balcony is clear.
And he's thorough, looking in the closets under the bed, even going so far as to look in the nursery, but it is with that he comes back silent. Johannes and I scan the room warily, searching to see if he missed something.
What have you done with the madam?
What do you mean?
There's another what do you mean here?
The body. It isn't there.
What? Last I checked, it's still there. It's not like anybody knows where the fucking body is. Did it just stand up and walk away? Got tired of being dead and decided to unkill itself?
It isn't there. That must mean it's somewhere else. And the house is crawling with guards, none of whom knew that Hana is already dead. I feel the color drain from my face, but before I can take a step out, he raises a hand to stop me from charging out there.
Stay? Do you see the problem we have here, Shroken? Are your eyes open, Shroken? Do you see the problem we're having here, Shroken?
With my own eyes.
What the bloody fuck are you still doing there, then? Hana's corpse. A corpse is missing. If anyone else finds that bloody body, we are going to have an even bigger problem than Suarez's company leak.
Which is why I'm asking you to calm down. This isn't...
You do not understand, do you? Okay, everything is at stake here.
Money, reputation, connections, the company I've built. Everything. There's no second thought as I reach under my side of the bed and pull out one of my knives. I have no doubt that or at least a term from escalating the situation and risking hurting either
I'm
of us.
going out there to look for that damn fucking body, and you're either with me or you're fucking fired! I am not risking anything. I am not losing everything.
Still, like a stubborn mule, he refuses to budge from the door. There's a withering look on him that I try to match. One that, somehow, I am losing fast to, even with him not saying a word yet.
Can you see yourself in the mirror right now? You're in no proper state to go looking for anyone, let alone your wife's dead body. If it'll make you happy, I will do the looking. But please, and don't make me repeat this, stay where it's safe, where security can find you. We already have one matter to be worried about. Please don't add another one to it.
Perhaps it is his tone. In spite of his general disdain for virtually everything that has to do with me, I'd like to think that over the years he has grown some sense of duty to his employer at least. Much as I loathe to admit this, I trust him over any other servant in this house. So in a quiz.
You have 2 hours, Shroken. I don't think it'll take that long to find one lifeless fucking corpse in this godforsaken house. 2 hours. Any more than that, I'll do it my fucking self.
Of course.
Despite his words, he lingers. If I didn't know any better, I'd say he wants to make sure I get in the damn bed and sleep before he turns away from me. What am I, a child? Watching me and treating me like one. There's the reason why we will never get along.
Well, what are you waiting for?
Nothing. I just hope you're happy.
Verily, now mush!
As you wish.
Only then does he seem to get the hint. With a nod, he leaves and locks and closes the door behind him. Bumping into Luke after his flight from the ballroom, Jonas quickly ushered the paranoid man to his room, while the house's security looked for the trespasser. Before leaving his master, Johannes scoured the place, only to find Hana's corpse missing from the nursery. So I'm gonna save here. I don't know, like, when we're getting to new dialogue. For a moment, I still hear his voice while he gives the guards orders. Silence, thunder, rain. Sure, we'll find her when I wake. I won't have anything to worry about. Ringing it with laughters and whispers of a twisted love from a time long gone. Now save.
Who are you? Stay away!
Sweet dreams, my love. It'll be over soon.
I think we heard this before and I'm still not sure whose voice that is. Is that Edward? Is that new dialogue? I don't even know. Let the butler take care of the little problem with Hana while Hana's body is still missing. Hana's still missing and the trespasser's still out there.
Do not need her. I am here. We are here. This is where your home is. Where you belong. For all that blood you shed. Come back to us.
How long has it been since? Johannes has never taken this long before.
Surely there should have been an update by now. Alright?
So why isn't he there?
Please don't go.
Bloody hell, the cretins I've surrounded myself with.
And isn't that enough reason to force myself out of bed? So, yeah, through the delay is understandable if we were looking for Hana as he promised. But bloody hell, my safety's also at stake here. So yeah, it's kind of disappointing it's still so much of the same
A
dialogue.
photographer, a high school teacher, and a real estate agent walk into a mansion.
Yeah, Ashton's dead. Hana is also dead. But you guys, I guess you guys kind of figured that out. Okay, we'll save here. So, this better be the true ending, but I'm going to go to the main menu for a moment. Because assuming this is actually the true ending, I want to tell you all how we got here. So... Oh, let's go to see cheese. So, Isabella finds a letter. Shows the letter to everyone, makes a fuss over it, so these two, Hana and Luke, immediately hate each other. Scary ghost lady is after all of us. Friends find the letter. Having everyone be nice to each other, except no one is nice with Ashton. And, Isabella survives the chapter. Hana is in a super angry mood. Fights with Luke. Is killed by Luke. Zachary talks with the professor about the photos. Survives the chapter. Marianne hooks up with Luke. Is haunted by memories of her friend. Has horrifying dreams about her and Hana. Ultimately gives in to the memories and tragically dies. Rebecca survives a run-in with the ghost. She's also still alive. Ashton takes a spear to the chest to save Isabella. Isabel's sad even though she wasn't really that fond of him. So, that's the catch-up. Apparently the only things needed to trigger the true end are Hana has to die. I think has to be murdered by Luke, but I just know she has to die. Ashton has to die and Marianne has to die, and Zach has to visit the professor, so we'll see if that actually works. It better, because I'm going to be ticked off if I did all that for nothing. So, Hana's body shudders and shakes as if she's about to have a seizure until her visage ripples and changes. Golden yellow hair is slowly stained with inky black and her face melts into that of the woman, the maid from before, and a menacing expression on her face. Along with it is the shifting of the very ground we stand on. It is a slow thing, a whisper more than a bang as the darkness creeps into every corner of the room. The walls shudder and groan, blood runs from the ceiling, crawls down the walls and stains the floor. It feels as if life itself is being sucked from the house slowly but surely. The beauty of the place is gone, with only the dead, decaying remains of the mansion left in its wake. I don't have to wonder if it is just the foyer that's become this nightmarish place. I can already hear it. Gone are the growling of thunder and the lashings of rain and wind against the foyer's high windows. All of it has been replaced by a more grating sound. A cacophony of voices from nowhere and everywhere echoing throughout the now horrid walls. Voices that neither belong to us nor the people who live here.
What's going on?
All throughout the house, shouts of alarm and surprise ring out, a mirror to the horror creeping up in each of us. Who wouldn't be shocked? This is insane. Even Daisy, feisty woman that she is, trembles at the sight of it, clinging desperately to Lily and Steele, who stands protectively in front of the two. I suppose it only makes sense for the man to take on that role when their friend is gone. Something to hold on to when there seems to be no end in sight to this insanity. If anything, this only feels like it's the beginning of the end.
Help me! Oh my god! Please, somebody! Anybody! Who are you? Stay away!
No. Stay away. Stay away.
Mother of God, pray for us sinners.
Sorry.
Their screams fill the mansion. She laughs all the while, a harsh, agonizing sound that goes on for what feels like forever. until there is nothing but silence, her horrid smile and pale hands reaching out to me, calling, beckoning, pleading. I'm terrified, I really am, like I should be, but I have never been one to truly stay afraid. I've long learned that this fear will not get me anywhere. Cowering in a corner doesn't keep me safe, and it will not keep me alive. Not like rage does. I've learned to use this burning hate inside of me to survive. There is no difference in
Stay away from me!
Why? Why do you wish to leave? This is where you belong, my lord. Remember the blood you shed. The very same one that now taints this house, along with many others.
I did not do this! You lie! I did nothing!
What of her then? Your wife, your sunshine. Doesn't her blood already stain these halls? Stain your hands?
Then, Hana's really? You're the one who... You killed her. Your own wife!
I kind of think this whole stuff that the ghost is saying would work a lot better if Luke and Hana had lived in this mansion their whole lives, since they got married, and he was doing his murders here. Instead, it's like he didn't really kill anyone here except Hana and the babies.
She's lying!
The words sound so familiar. Just a few days ago, I've spouted the same ones at that vile woman who ruined everything. If it weren't for that harlot, it's no use. A seed has already been planted in their heads. Defending myself, especially against the likes of him, is pointless. Bloody hell, even Daisy's now looking at me with the same revolting stares people have given me once they know of my dirt.
So it's true then? With Hana? Hana, Luke?
Now you're all quiet. Let me turn you up a little. She's the one that always seems to get really loud in the recordings.
I don't know what she's talking about. Are you that gullible, Daisy? Do you really believe the words of a murderer? She killed your friend over there.
No, you deny it. Pointing fingers, aren't we? You see, my love. No difference. No difference, you and I. Just like the rest of us. Just like every single soul in this putrid wreck.
I mean, I'd imagine most of the souls in this house are innocent.
We've waited for so long. You can hear them, yes. Their pleas, their calls, their invitation. Come, my lord. The house seeks its master.
She, the monster, reaches out again, her hands a gory bore in sight, along with that smile spread across her face. My body's already moving on instinct, stumbling back one step at a time in a desperate bid to be away from her. Anything to put distance between me and this vile creature. No matter what she says, I am nothing like her. I need to get out of this house. Out of this country, preferably. There's nothing for me here, not anymore. Nothing to keep tied to this place. With Hana gone, Shrokin likely taken by this woman as well, nothing's left to bind me to this wretched city. I can leave, My footsteps on something, sending me sliding on my back and flat on the floor. Beside me, a paper, familiar one, flutters down. It's this thing again from the open house that feels less like a gimmick and more like a threat, what with recent events. It must have fallen from the detective in the commotion earlier, and with its owner having died a gruesome death, now it simply bears its equally grisly message for everyone in the room to see. Help me. Help me. Help me. Is this it? What they've been telling us? Why everything in my life has gone to shite? Because of some stupid old letter? An invitation indeed. One I am not willing to accept. Not any time. From the top of the stairs, the creature moves again, drawing my attention back to her. Her gait remains slow and awkward as she walks forward, that smile never leaving her, but I won't give her the chance. I am not dying here. Adrenaline kicks in, and despite panic gasps and worried glances from Daisy's friends, I pay them no mind as I reach for the main door, and without warning, the door slams open, revealing not the mansion grounds like I'm expecting. Before my mind can even completely comprehend what's happening, black tendrils have already coiled tightly around my limbs, dragging every person in the foyer into the room. None of us even get to scream, when darkness completely envelops us upon the doors closing.
Understand where your place is now, my love. You belong here. Is it so difficult to grasp? We've been waiting.
There's a moment of panic when the feeling of the tendrils around my limbs finally dissipates. This is kind of new. As soon as my eyes adjust to the darkness of the room and I'm on my feet, I'm reaching for my knife and holding it out, watching and waiting for every movement. Using it as a way to put distance between me and these peasants. Who knows what they'll do to me, now that they know what I've done. There's only 4 of us in this room, 3 of them friends at that, and only me. I cannot trust these people not to turn on me. I cannot trust anyone. Not anymore. Not after this. Despite the pleading looks Lily shoots my way while they all huddle in the corner behind Steel, I have to remind myself that even people like her are capable of doing the unpleasant. She's only human after all. It's never an excuse. Why, even Hana has her cunning, manipulative moments, though she does it much subtler than I. Why else would Lily show that letter to us that day if not to save herself? I guess that backfired on her now that she and her own friends are also stuck here. Still, I have every right to be livid. Everything that I've built this far has fallen apart. My wife, my children, all because these people came into our lives.
You three, all of you, this is all your fault. If I'm dying to this bloody curse, I'm taking you all down with me.
I saw that shift and Rebecca getting mad. Are we gonna get Rebecca punching in this time?
Hey now, Mr. Wright. I know the situation ain't good, but we have to calm down. We're all in the same boat here.
You shut your mouth. If it weren't for you, for this letter, for all of you, none of this would have happened.
She's getting angrier.
Hana would still be.
Suddenly, Daisy steps up and slaps the knife away from my hand.
Don't you dare, Luke. Don't you dare put that blame on us.
Without batting an eye, glaring at me as if she might just rip my head off this instant. Said knife slides uselessly under the table, out of my reach. I should have expected she's not the kind to submit even under that threat. For all the black man's height, right now, all of us appear smaller facing her anger.
Last I checked, we're not the one whose hands have been stained with his wife's own blood.
And what about your friend over there? Are you saying she is responsible for this mess? For the lives this sorting letter took? Dragging other people into her own problems just so she could save her little sorry self? You think I haven't seen that before? Getting real tired of your double standards, Daisy!
You know this curse is an entirely different issue from what you've done, Luke. Because, knowing you, I don't doubt that even without that blasted letter, you would have eventually—
Rebecca, stop! All of you stop this!
To hear Lily speak out loud, I can't say I'm not surprised. She has always given me the impression of someone so meek from the moment I've met her, either from her inexperience or her station in life. She has never struck me as someone fitting to be a real estate agent. If anything, that meltdown she had during the open house had only proven my assumptions. Until now. Quietly, she puts herself between me and Daisy, cutting whatever scathing words we've yet to hurl at the other. The way she glares at me, it reminds me a little of the way my own mom would look at me, particularly when I've done something wrong. And it's not a stare she's unused to showing. She has done this before, probably to a younger sibling. If she only sees us now as a pair of squabbling kids and not two mature adults, well, that's only to be expected. No doubt that's how she sees us. For a long moment, there's only silence in the room. Still, the big oaf doesn't dare break it, merely watching the three of us behind two women who he towers over significantly. Too soft. Not that it matters when Lily starts speaking again, after some of the anger and tension is lifted from the room.
Stop this, please! With or without that damn piece of paper,
A deep breath. An exhale. And then she closes her eyes, a crease forming between her eyebrows while she grips her hands tightly in front of her.
We still would have ended up in this mess.
The atmosphere that descends in the room right after that. Admission is anything but pleasant. Can I call it that, an admission? It seems like it from the way her eyes nervously flick between her friends and I. She appears to know more than she lets on, and how she makes herself appear smaller after dropping that bomb on us doesn't sit quite well with me. And patience is something I don't have the luxury of right now in bestowing upon other people. What else does this girl know? What else is she not telling us? Because from the looks of this, even her friends have no idea what she's talking about. Unwilling to wait, I grab her arm before she retreats without explanation, waving the letter still in my hand in front of her.
Ow! Sir, you're hurting me!
Luke, will you stop taking it out on every single person?
Your friend is hiding something, Daisy.
She struggles for a moment, but my hold eventually forces her to look up at me. Fear and uncertainty spread across her features, especially when her eyes land on the damned paper. As much as I want to be considerate right now, I want answers.
What do you mean, Lily?
I'm not sure about it.
Don't give me that, you know something!
Ow! Please, sir. I know the paper's useless, okay? Those people they mentioned in the news lately, all those who died, my co-workers, the open house clients, none of them had seen it. Even Rose. And yet they're all dead.
I did actually choose to show Rose the letter, so she did see it.
I should know, sir. That letter has been with me since I picked it up. And I swear I didn't make copies of this thing. Even if I wanted to save myself, I wouldn't do that to my friends. Or anyone.
And yet we're all here! Are you taking me for a fool, Lily?
We would have ended up here either way. Maybe? I really don't know. Sir, please. All I know is that paper isn't the reason why all of this is happening. There's something else that...
This place.
Still has been quiet this entire time, that the sound of him talking, however whispered it is, still manages to catch us all off guard. We all pause, turning to him with likely the same questions in our eyes.
What?
I just remembered something, a friend told me. You know, stuff about ghosts, or curses. You probably don't want to hear it.
I feel like it's relevant.
No! It might be something! What about this place, Zach? Maybe it's also the reason why Ash went here.
There's still a moment of hesitation in him, but the mention of their dead friend appears enough reason to spur him into speaking.
Remember what I told you the last time you and Ash visited? A few days ago?
pause while he allows Lily to remember. Soon enough, whatever it is dawns on her, and her face lights up with something like hope. Of all things, in this nightmare, hope? Grit snaps up and she reaches for Steele's arm to give it a squeeze. A reassurance or confirmation? The meaning is lost even to Daisy, who glances at them, baffled.
Belle, what are you... Becca, it's this place. Think about it.
Then they proceed to tell some ridiculous narrative about the supernatural. Stories about ghosts, legends, curses born out of great anger and pain, and whatever else people use to scare children. Not that I believe any of it, as if knowing will help you. You don't believe it, you're trapped in it. Bunch of loons, these people, officially off their rockers. I think I'll be stuck in this nightmare with people like them. What did I ever do to the world? Of course, it's all absurd until...
I think it's just like what the professor guy said. Just like that old story. This mansion and some other thing might be keeping her here. You know, something he wanted in life, but never got to have. Something like that.
Or maybe it's not something, Zachary.
Someone. The who doesn't have to be uttered out loud. There's only one person in this room who that woman calls after. Every single one of them has heard it. Bloody hell, it's in the reluctant shift in Daisy's eyes when they flicker over to me, though only briefly. She's also holding information on her own, or perhaps a realization she just had. Doesn't matter. I know when people have slowly started to turn on me. How do they think I lasted in this cutthroat world? Betray them before they do the same thing to you. Put a knife in their back before they can act. Kill or be killed. Survival in a nutshell. Why did they think I put Hana out of the picture before she could cry for help and ruin everything? What now? Are they going to throw me at that creature, see what happens to save themselves? I am no fool.
No. You're all in on this, aren't you? Of course! Of fucking course!
Luke, that isn't what I...
My hands are already on the door, pushing it open before she finishes. Betrayal or not, this isn't anything new. They may not be thinking of it right now, but eventually, trapped in this nightmare, the first thing to do is put a distance between us before a plan even hatches in their minds. There's 3 of them, only one of me. I have to get out of here, find an exit to this place, or a way to get rid of each of them. But karma, the damn thing, seems to be at work here, because when the door swings open and I barrel into the next room, there's only a reminder of the blood I've shed, of her, of them.
You don't have to do this. You can still have it all, Luke. Just please. Don't you love me?
It is not only her sobs that I hear, but his, hers, theirs. I'll never know now, will I, what kind of life I would have lived with them, if I will ever be a father better than my own. But I suppose I have my answer now. I killed them after all. It's their blood that stains my hands in this room.
We would have been so good.
By my own doing, I've ended it all, even before anything has begun. Now their blood drips from every wall, pulling at every inch of the floor, leaving a sorry mess at the hem of my pants with every step I take into the room. Like the cold, suffocating embrace of my sins, the dread from the sight creeps up my limbs. Slow and unhurried, twisting and turning. Up and up it goes until nothing but a sharp, guttural cry escapes from my mouth and a realization. It hits me like a gut punch, sending my knees buckling and the rest of me sprawling. Behind me, Daisy shouts, a worried cry, running into the room and placing a comforting hand on my shoulder. Following after her, Lily and Steele, lingering by the doorway to that room. Hana's little nursery, or at least it's supposed to be one until things in this place have gone haywire. See, I felt this would have been more effective if they'd actually had the image of the nursery here. I can't even bring myself to look at it.
Are you alright? You vampot. Don't just run off like that. We don't know what's going on in this house.
But the sharp timbre always present in her tone pales in comparison to every voice ringing in my ears, along with Hana's and the distinct cry of the baby somewhere. How many people have died here, I wonder? How many of them are still trapped in here? Because it isn't just the creature's murmurs and pleas that I hear. It isn't just my wife's or the life that she hid in her. But hundreds, thousands of them. Not that it matters now, when I know I've also doomed Hana and my own children to this nightmare. Somehow out of everything, it's the thought of them trapped in here that sends me on the edge. Sends my stomach churning and bile rising up in my throat. Then slowly, a laugh. I also laughed back then, didn't I? The moment my eyes saw what was to be of that room. Days later, Stroken asked if I'm happy, that bastard. I suppose I have a clear answer now. There's no happiness in this. Despite the chuckles and the giggles spilling forth, there's only a hollow void.
I don't deserve them, Daisy! Any of them!
And there's only one way to fix this. So, I know which option leads to the true end. But let's pick the not true end one first. This isn't how it's supposed to end. This isn't how things are supposed to end. Not like this. Not for me. Not after everything I've built for myself. What kind of bullshit is this in the first place, that I am doomed to die? Me, the great Luke Wright, after surviving a childhood. Am I going to die being a self-sacrificing idiot? Like hell. There might not be happiness in this. But when has that stopped me before? When has killing someone did? When has dirtying my hands with blood of people getting in my way did? Money, power, I want it all, and if it warrants a life, then so be it. In the end, Hana and her unborn are nothing but another addition to the list of people I've sacrificed to get what I want. This, them...
You don't need them.
That's right, they are nothing. I only need myself to survive. Kill or be killed, that's the kind of world we live in. Ruthless, cruel, unforgiving. It's what Damien Wright had taught me. It's what life has taught me. It's about time people like them learn. It's just a pity they have to go through it the hard way. They had the chance earlier. They've given it up. It's only right that I take what they've abandoned for myself. Too soft, they are too soft. Even Daisy, for the feisty attitude she brings with her. She merely gives me a baffled look when I push myself up from the floor, staring at me with only a slew of questions in her eyes as I slowly back away from the room. It doesn't even occur to them. Poor little things. Idiots.
Luke, what are you?
Not until I'm already at the door and pushing it open. Only then does the dread and fear set on their faces, expressions I know too well. All of the people who have met the business end of my knife or gun, or both. Hana said something similar on her face when she croaked. Funny how in death we're all the
I'd
same.
really love to stay and chat with all of you. What with two lovely ladies here, but I'm afraid I have business to attend to. A shame, isn't it?
You bloody bastard! Becca, he's going to...
Oh, her warning comes a little too late. The sound of the door slamming and locking behind me cuts her off. Not that I care. From inside I can already hear their panic, but I don't stay. The mansion has calmed down. In fact, it seems to have done so for me, like a praise for a job well done. And maybe I do deserve it. Not many have the guts to deny 3 people of their lives in one go. The terror in their voices filtering through the door, it's all too entertaining to hear. When was the last time I've done such? Certainly not after my marriage with Hana. Why should I waste time listening here? Like I've told them, I have things to do. I'm a busy man. Quickly I make a break for it before one of them decides to bring the doors down. And sure enough, when I reach the bottom of the stairs, the main door's almost an arm's reach. A crash echoes from upstairs, followed by hurried footsteps and curses, vivid, colorful ones, spilling one after another from their mouths. Their mothers would have been proud.
Becca, he's gone! Where?
That fucking ballbag! How dare he! If I get my hands on him!
Guys, he's already downstairs!
I'm not sure that's actually relevant. If only their feet are as fast as their mouths, I might have given them bonus points for trying. But alas, we may all end up in the same place after death, but getting there will never be the same for all of us. For me, this hellhole is definitely not where I'm snuffing it, and I will damn make sure of it, even if it means sacrificing a few useless nitwits. Their fists pound where they finally reach it. Pushing, pulling, trying to budge the bloody thing open with all their might, yelling at the top of their lungs, begging even, in a futile attempt to get me to open it. It's useless, however, for them. The doors won't open once, locked without a key. And why should I let them? I'm not an idiot. A betrayal of this kind? Well, what did I tell about people stabbing in the back once you turn around and you give them an opening? Only you matter, my lord, my love. You have no need for them. We have no need for them. I say never give them the chance. Let them rot. From the other side of the door, their pleas continue until a laugh rings out from the other side, vile, menacing, and I can only feel relief that I'm not in there with them, left at the mercy of that woman. Soon the ground trembles and the air shifts with their screams, while a thick, acrid smell filters in the room from beyond. And all at once, a silence, deafening, still. The same hush that comes after a terrible storm has swept the countryside, and with it, the sight of the sun rising above the horizon. Yeah, I'm not sure how any of that worked. Like, he seems to be the one the ghost wants, and he's just like, I'm just gonna leave these people here, that'll work. Trapped in the mansion with people he barely knew, Luke Wright realized that Rebecca Gales, Isabel Santos, and Zachary Steele might turn on him. Believing it to be the only way, he quickly made a decision in order to save himself. Ever so slowly, the sky begins to lighten before my eyes. Darkness giving way to the warm morning hues, soft rays spilling over the vast expanse of Luxborn's countryside. Nearby, the trees sway and rustle with the breeze. A passing draft cold enough to make me shiver, the remains of a storm that has passed. In the distance, I can hear the soft chirping of birds while the rest of the world stirs, wakes. Dawn at last. I am free.
You see, my love, no difference, you and I.
I will send movers for my things in the morning. Epilogue, everyone but Luke is dead. A curious local finds the bodies within the mansion months later, and whispers quickly spread across Luxburn City upon its discovery. Officers who investigated have deemed the mystery of the Ermengarde mansion deaths as another tragedy brought upon the city by the Anselm Butcher, and in no way suspect Luke Wright, apparently. But for those who still believe in the stories of old and those who know the truth, it is but a testament to the curse and the secrets of the Ermengarde mansion has hidden for centuries. There will come a time those will finally be revealed, only the hallowed halls of the mansion know. To this day, it stands silent. However, on nights when the wind howls and the thunder booms across the sky, some still claim hearing of voices within, of cries and wails that fill nights and desperate calls of help from anyone who dares listen. As for the one who lives... Luke Wright immediately left the city before news had even broken out. And they still don't suspect him? By the time anyone caught wind of what had happened in the mansion, he was already long gone. All of his bank accounts had been emptied, including all of his Luxborn apartments, leaving not a single trace or clue where he might be hiding. Last anyone had seen of him was on a flight bound for Barcelona, Spain. No one has heard from him since, even as people from Wright Enterprise, who have been left reeling for months with the absence of their CEO. Publicly named as the Anselm Butcher by Luxborn authorities, the once affluent businessman has become one of the country's most wanted. However, up until now, he has yet to be found. As are the answers he has taken with his departure. Okay. Yeah, that did not make a lot of sense to me, but... Okay, let's go for the true ending now. Only one way to fix this. One way to correct a mistake. Oh, the new journal entry? No, just profiles. I'd increase my heart with any of them. Mistake. Is it even one? Isn't this what I wanted for myself? To have everything? Money, power, hell, even women. Don't I have the freedom now and so much more? I married her for this. This has always been the plan had things not been derailed. Get rid of the dad, marry the starry-eyed heiress, acquire the company, and make her disappear. Make it appear like a terrible accident. Clean, efficient. It feels wrong to use that word. I loved her, didn't I? This is a sin, more like. Perhaps one that deserves an equal punishment of death. A life for a life sort of deal. Payment for the countless other lives I've also ruined and ended to get where I am. There used to be satisfaction in this, in getting what I want. Now I only feel remorse.
This is going to get me. No matter what I do, isn't it?
No, if you leave everyone to die, you get to live peacefully in Barcelona, Spain.
Luke, we can't stay here. We have to find a way out. We have to...
Go.
What? What are you talking about?
You heard me, Daisy. Go. Leave. Have you also gone deaf now?
Sir, is this about what we said? Forget about that. We're not leaving anyone here. Ash wouldn't want that.
That's why we had to kill him. As if I give a damn shite about him. He still pisses me off. If anything, he should be the one thanking me. I'm saving his friends. I suppose I should make note of that. Something to keep in mind in case we're ever going to meet in the afterlife. Provided we end up in the same place. The stuff I've done, I'll likely end up in the 7th level of hell. Funny how easy it is to think of these things with your death looming over you. Or maybe it's simply because I'm getting old. Well, not that old, but it certainly feels like it. I've done a lot of awful stuff in my lifetime. So maybe this one time, I might as well do something good. Pushing myself off the floor is a struggle on its own, more from the metaphorical weight on my shoulders than the pain in my limbs or this headache. There's no backing out now, I suppose. Even if Daisy still doesn't quite understand what I mean, there she sits, looking up at me with nothing but worry. I wonder if in a different lifetime we would have become friends. Had I been born to a more decent family, or Damien Wright took me away from the slums before I ever learned how to use a knife.
Daisy, do fetch me one final drink, would you? There's a stash in that dresser beside you.
She quietly hands me one as I've requested, but only after a look of protest flickers across her face. I look at anywhere but her, fixating on the colorful glass bottle she's just handed me before I pop up on the cork and take a swig, or rather a huge chug of the stuff. There's some delight when I feel a delightful burn in the back of my throat and realize that this isn't exactly the wine I have in my hand. Whiskey. How quaint, how fitting. This explains where the rest of the alcohol is.
This isn't the time for some booze, Luke. We're still stuck in this bloody nightmare. A little sense of self-preservation from you would be really nice.
Such a nag. No, I don't think Hannah would much appreciate me drinking in our room either. Or at all if she has anything to say about it. Probably say something scathing and witty like, "You might as well shoot yourself in the liver, Lucille, really now." Well, she can just tell me about it once we see each other again.
You, Steele, isn't it? Make sure your friends make it out of this place in one piece. That shouldn't be too hard for you, right?
Wait, what about you?
For all the weakness he displays, at least this man knows the right questions to ask. And that is exactly when it dawns on Daisy, her concern quickly melting into an expression of utter horror. Any other day I would have laughed loudly at that. To think she cares, I'm almost touched.
What are you... Don't be ridiculous, you ball bag!
You're kidding, right? Look, Wright! Mr. Wright, there must be some other way.
This isn't going to solve anything, you numpty! You're just giving her what she...
Daisy, Rebecca, do me a favor and watch over Kylie for me. The Rugrat shouldn't be allowed more than one glass of parfait a day. Her father spoils her too much.
Why don't you do that yourself? I'm not a godparent, you are!
I have to stifle the giggles that threaten to spill uncontrollably. I'm not yet drunk, but I might as well be. Losing my mind, maybe.
I'm afraid I won't be able to. You're going to have to apologize to her for me as well. You see, Daisy, where I'm going, there's no coming back from.
A smile. Then I'm dousing the whole room with the remaining liquor before a word escapes their mouths. They can only watch. I can tell they don't approve of this, but what can they do? It's my house. I can do whatever I want with it. And it doesn't take long for Steele to catch on. He's seen this ugly side of me more than anyone here. There's still reluctance in him, of course. The man remains soft even for people who have openly hated him. A hesitation in him even as he's pulling the two women away from the room, quickly ushering them through the doors that should lead to them to the hallway.
But Luke, we can't.
Go on, Daisy. There's nothing left for you here.
A long moment of silence of conflict and pain flashed fleetingly across her face. We never did get along much, Daisy and I. Though right now, I like to think she has come to care for a rotten bloke like me the way she might do for another friend. Unable to meet my eyes, perhaps out of some uncalled for guilt, she simply reaches out for both my arms and gives it a light squeeze. And then in a voice so low and whispered,
This is what you want.
Not a question, merely a statement, a fact, one that deserves an equal honesty. Funny, I've never been the honest sort.
Yes.
I'm sorry. We're sorry.
Look on Daisy's face before Steele closes the door behind them. We'll find out once I finish reading the journal. Yeah. Realizing that he had doomed Hannah and their children to years of eternal torment inside the house, and despite Rebecca's protests, Luke Wright decided to cry on the stairs. Odd. There's no other word for it. It's the same one my own mom has given me, along with the same words. A gift, I considered them back then. I never understood the use for it. It's not like she didn't take care of me like a mother should. Eleanor Chandler did more than that. But seeing such a strikingly similar expression on Daisy, I understand it now. It was not for her misgivings as a mother. It's for all of the what-ifs, could-haves, and should-haves. Things that will never be because it's far too late.
I'm sorry, too.
Under the room's low light, the amber liquid gleams tauntingly where it has landed. On the floor, on the bed, on the walls, on every dresser its splatter has reached. It's brighter, of course, when set alight, but I don't wait for it to spread. If I am to die here, this place also has to go, burned to the ground with every sin and horror it hides. I suppose this is the closest I can get to atonement. Without a single glance back, I take the rest of my liquor stash from the dresser with me, and head instead for the door to Hannah's nursery. It opens to the study before, but with how fucked up this place is, I'm not entirely sure what I'll find next. One thing's certain.
Somebody. Anyone. Help me. Help us.
Not entirely sure which person this is.
Luke, please. Our children.
Somewhere in this house, she waits. I allow her voice to lead me, following her cries and pleas as I go and douse each room I pass with alcohol and set it ablaze. I hear music. Not a comforting thing to hear, but certainly a better sound than an agonized wail. Amidst the gore and the horror, it's the closest thing I can cling to, including the stray thoughts that have somehow chosen the surface. Short bursts of memories I've always been fond of, more than I care to admit, either out of fear or
How
embarrassment.
about Botany Bay, Luke? In Kent. It's gorgeous there.
I don't know, but don't you think it's a little too far from here? Remember, I still have a company to manage.
Well, it won't always be that way, yes? And maybe we can also get a dog.
I suppose.
So, someday?
Someday, Buttercup. Someday.
In truth, a half-hearted response, spoken out of ignorance or some sort of complacency over the kind of life I'd assumed we'd have. Or I'll have. She was never meant to live past the second year of marriage. She has no idea how tempting those paltry dreams of hers are now. A little house by the beach, a dog, our children, her, and the vast expanse of the sea before us. She was right. We would have been so beautiful. But as the whole of this place smolders, so do those. When I run out of liquor, I simply drop the bottle and take one off the many nooks I've stashed them. And there's no lack of it in here. The hard stuff, the shorts, the watered-down kind, gifts from a distant relative, friends, so-called friends. You name it, I've made sure there's always one within reach. Hannah has called me out on this numerous times before, telling me I have a problem. I've always told her she doesn't know the half of it before completely dismissing her concerns.
Don't worry, what? That woman.
Right now, however, I'll give everything to hear her say that again, if only for the last time. With each room I pass and burn, the place becomes easier to navigate, as if it's still rewriting itself, returning to what it's supposed to be. Soon, I finally find myself standing before the door to the attic. In the bedroom nearby, the strong odor of burning wood, cloth, and varnish alike wafts from under the door, slowly filling the hall with the thick black smoke. Hopefully Steele is able to get his friends out of here before it's too late. The blaze has already started in earnest, in every part of the house. I can already feel the heat seeping from the rooms I've set aflame. In a matter of minutes, flames will engulf the whole house. But there's one more place left, upstairs, where her cries echo from. My feet fall hard and heavy against the old steps, a steep, rickety thing that could have been fixed during the renovation. I suppose it's only fitting that this is where I make this march, trapped in the highest point of this place, as the rest of the world burns to the ground with me. A final fall, to death, to her. For some reason, nothing about this scares me, no matter how much I've dreaded this kind of end in the past. There's only a calm, a stillness. The same hush that comes after a terrible storm has swept the countryside. even as I open the door and I am greeted not by Hannah's warm embrace, but her cold, chilling smile. But the reality of this, the terror, doesn't take hold in sync until my knees hit the floor and I hear a whisper in my ear, in a voice so familiar yet different, reverberating inside my head in soft murmurs and sighs, while her arms come from behind to rest across my chest.
You came home to us.
I guess hoping to see Hannah here is already asking for far too much. Perhaps something I don't deserve even in death, yet tears flow freely from my eyes despite the disappointment. Nothing but lightness in air and the feeling of finally being released from the shackles that have scraped me raw, because at the end of this road is her. And I think, this is it. This is how I die. A gradual descent to the abyss as everything around us goes up in flames. Behind me, the window blows out from the heat. But above the piercing sound of shattering glass is the rustling of trees against a light breeze. A passing draft that carries even into this room from outside, cold enough to make me shiver, strong enough to fan the flames further. In the distance, I can hear the soft chirping of birds, where the rest of this world stirs, wakes, and then in the window, those birds just fly by. Ever so slowly, darkness gives way to the warm morning hues. The soft rays of the morning sun altogether spilling into the window, stirring a distant memory of a laughter and a tender voice I long to hear one last time.
I did not do it for you.
Dawn at last, and she is free. Dots. We've unlocked a memory fragment! We've unlocked the final memory fragment! That was really random. Epilogue. Like the flames that engulfed the mansion that night, whispers quickly spread across Luxborn City after the incident. Officers who investigated have deemed the tragedy of Ermengarde Mansion an accident, an unfortunate outcome of a long-rumored domestic dispute between Luke and Hannah Wright, killing innocent lives. But for those who still believe in the stories of the old and those who know the truth, it is but a testament to the curse and the secrets the Ermengarde Mansion has hidden for centuries. If there will come a time those will finally be revealed, only ashes of the now ruined mansion know. However, on nights when the wind howls and thunder booms across the sky, some still claim hearing voices where it once stood, of cries and wails that fill the nights and desperate calls of help for anyone who dares listen. What do you mean? The curse is supposed to be over! As for those who remain... Zachary Steele decides to give the movie industry another try a year after. Jeez. As a poster, he looks depressed. This time, he brings a film that tells of a harrowing experience under the shadow of the Ermengarde Mansion's curse. With help from Rebecca Bales and Isabella Santos in production, he is able to bring it to life 2 years later. But unlike his first foray into the indie scene, this one turns out to be a blockbuster hit, gaining him accolades from several award-giving bodies. Though the film has brought him considerable success and opportunities, Zachary claims it'll be the last film he will be making, remarking that he merely wishes to tell the tale. A decision he has yet to change his mind on, much to his fans' disappointment. After the clamor of the movie has died down, he quietly returns to his freelance photography business, living a simple life in the same old apartment, away from the spotlight. All the same, he dedicates the film's success in honor of an unnamed friend. Why wouldn't you name him? Or her, or all of them? Determined to disclose the truth, Rebecca Gales writes a book detailing Luxborn's true history. With help from Professor Andrew Clark, she pieces together every omitted information from current accounts. Charlotte Ermengarde's role in the city's foundation, and the truth behind the very woman who built it. This, in spite of the professor's stern warnings against bringing these to light. Charlotte Ermengarde has always been revered by the people of Luxborn, after all. And sure enough, upon publication, it creates a huge stir. Although considered a masterpiece by some, even becoming a bestseller, it's also met with harsh criticisms from Luxborn's academic circles. Others believe it an attack on the city's way of life, outright condemning it. It doesn't take long for it to reach controversial status, and mere months after its release, the book becomes the subject of litigation. As a result, it has since been withdrawn from the shelves by the publisher. To date, Rebecca continues the effort to bring it back to the market, knowing its worth, a war that she seems to be winning in time. Doing it not for herself, but the memory of a dear friend whom the book has been dedicated to, also unnamed. Months after the incident, Isabella Santos has finally found the courage to pursue what she truly wants. Having made enough to keep her family afloat for a few years, with her blessing, she quits her job at Briar Realty Corporation and takes the scholarship offered by the local university. Slowly she gains recognition, both in the local and international art scene, for her vivid depiction of death and suffering. Although continuously lauded for her talent, no one knows why she has chosen such a dark subject. She has kept mum about it throughout the years. Perhaps the closest answer the curious will get, when asked, is the slight shift of her eyes and the wistful look that crosses her face. Is it an unnamed friend? A quiet glance towards a painting of a young man in her studio. Name unknown. Her best-known work, and strangely, the only one from her collection with an honest portrayal of life. From the Ashes. And it is only during those short candid moments that she ever smiles again. Isn't this the happiest ending, guys? Although now busy with their new lives after the curse, Isabella Santos, Rebecca Gales, and Zachary still remain close friends. A bond that has only grown tighter throughout the years, but even after so long, Ashton Frey's loss is still a grief all of them carry. And on the same day as what has become known as the Ermengarde Mansion tragedy to the public, they always make it a point to meet where he lies. Once a year when they exchange stories and talk the way they all used to, a shadow of what they were before the tragedy, their way of coping with a sorrow that still looms over them. Though they never speak of it, will never, each of them know that his death is a wound that may never heal. They can only carry on. So that is the true ending. Nothing but sadness for everyone involved. So yeah, Ash is dead, Marianne is dead, Luke is dead, Hannah is dead, the children are dead. Zach has given up filmography. Everyone is depressed. Isabella doesn't smile. I don't think there's a scene after the credits, but I've learned a lesson. So I'm gonna be releasing a full review of this game. I'm not a big fan of this true ending. Like, there's a lot of stuff about the ghost they don't mention. Like, from what I understand, because I had read a little bit online about the ghost, trying to figure it out. So apparently, the ghost is supposed to be the combined spirits of Takako the maid and Charlotte. I don't know how that happened, and nothing in the story really fully conveys it. Like, I overall like this game, but I do think certain aspects, just talking about the story, like, there's stuff to say about the gameplay, but in terms of the story, there's so much I feel they could have done better. Like, there's a lot of great moments, but like, most of the true ending leading up until the end is the same game. Like, I skipped most of it, and that's why I did the recap with the screenshots. Because I wanted to give you guys something to lead up to it. And honestly, we're probably lucky we didn't trigger those other scenes with Luke. Because I feel they were also kind of a good lead up to the true end. I also don't fully understand why why defeating the ghost was, you know, why it needed to be like Luke sacrificing himself, because Charlotte murdered Edward, so it's like, what does she care about him for? And I do believe, though it's never really said, that the maid maybe loved him, but even then, Luke's not him. Like, they never even imply that Luke is like his reincarnation or something. And shouldn't the ghost of the Lord also be trapped in the mansion? Like, maybe it's not, because he died before the curse was born. But, and then they start talking about, like, the blood we share, which maybe hints he's a descendant of someone, but never elaborated on. And, like, the whole thing about all the blood he sheds, and it's like, I guess that makes you similar to Charlotte, but I still don't really get it. Hey, husbando goddess! I used to watch her videos. I think she, like, deleted her channel for a bit. I'm gonna have to check and see if she's still making videos. W. But the ending was emotional. Like, I was sad when, like, Luke was sacrificing himself and that music was playing. Though, it does kind of feel like the curse still didn't end. Because it's like, oh, the people who are still there still say they can hear the cries. And it's just like, okay. Also, the thing with the memory fragments, like, we got the last two, and it's like, why those and why then? I don't feel like they really added anything. It's like I know we killed off every one of the characters, but also here are two memory fragments. And it's not really anything new. Like, we all knew about the girl burning. It's one of the only pieces of backstory we get. I hope people can hear me over how loud this song is. I also hope this song isn't, like, copyrighted. That would be horrifying. Hana, best plot and backstory. Like, have you guys met Luke? Hana times Isabella, please. I just want Zach times Isabella. Isabella and Hana don't really interact. Luke and Isabella also don't really interact. Besides, we don't want to be putting Luke with people of other races. He tends to say unflattering things, you know? But yeah, like, I'm gonna really do a review video and talk about it a lot. Oh, what's your scene? I'm gonna pause, see how long we're into this. Yeah, we're gonna have to stop this part here. Like, I'd planned to do the other ending I planned to go for, which would just be a happy outcome for everybody. But I'm gonna have to wait for the next video for that, so... Thank you so much for watching. Leave a comment, let me know what you thought of the game's overall story, and the true end. And I hope you'll all watch the review later when it comes out. Thank you for watching, and goodbye for now.